We talk about churches coming together. Let me just push back on that one a little bit. I mean, you saw that in England because, again, you're in the minority, whereas there's churches on virtually every corner here in West Michigan. Do you really see churches coming together to get the work done, to collaborate together, to reach the lost?
I do.
Okay.
So, of course, there's always room for more growth.
Right.
But for us personally at Calvary Church, we've planted some churches in the past. God's calling us to plant more churches in the future. But one of the really encouraging things has been that instead of just sort of planting a church and giving them some money or some staff or some people, we're continuing to meet together as pastors who are parts of those church plants and meeting together once every other month, praying for one another, encouraging one another, and trying to work together on stuff. So that's been encouraging. Now, granted, that's maybe 10, 12 churches that we're sort of doing that with.
Sure.
I also see you and I are both part of something, a Luis Palau festival that we feel like God is wanting to bring to Grand Rapids. When I asked the Lord, I got asked if I would participate in this, and I was like, oh, good, this is an easy no. Then I prayed about it, and then the Lord's like, no, it's a yes. And I was like, really? And one of the reasons is like I felt like the Lord was saying, this will help bring the churches together. I didn't necessarily get the sense that thousands of people would get saved at a particular event. They might, and that's what I would love to see and I'm praying for. But the reason that I would like to do it is I think the opportunity to work with other churches. And so I'm seeing some of that happening now. We also just in general have been trying to just meet with different pastors of different churches. And there does seem to be a spirit of cooperation. And I've sensed a spirit of he must increase, we must decrease.
I love it. No one church can do it alone, can they?
No, they can't.
We need to collaborate. Don't you love John 17, where Jesus says in 4 verses 3 times that we praise that we be one, that we have unity. He says, may they be brought to perfect unity so that the world will know that you sent me, says Jesus, and that you love them as much as you love me.
Let me tell you just a story about that where that sort of hit home for me. God asked me to move back to Grand Rapids, as I said. Now, he not only asked me to move back to Grand Rapids, he asked me to move back into East Grand Rapids, which is the small community within Grand Rapids that I grew up in. My kids go to the middle school I went to. My son had my social studies teacher last year. I'll tell you, going to conferences and seeing your old teacher, but as a parent now, there was something, I still had shudders when I walked in. One of the reasons when he not only picked Grand Rapids, but East Grand Rapids, and I said, oh, Lord, really? Like, I feel like I graduated from that and I was on to bigger and better things. And to be honest, I felt like the Lord was giving me a gift, which was, you didn't share the gospel with these friends when you were in high school. I'm giving you a second chance.
I love
Not
it.
because he was angry, but because you missed a blessing.
Sure.
So last night, we have an evangelistic Bible study. We met last night. In that Bible study are a number of guys that I went to high school with, most of whom were not Christians when we were in high school, all of whom have become Christians since then. And I'm at that Bible study, and at some point, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I remember thinking to myself, it would be great if all these guys came to Calvary Church, where I'm the pastor, because I'm doing Bible study with them, I'm pouring into them. Sure. And hey, I think Calvary's a great place for people to be. At some point, I realized, and I think John 17 played some part in it, when some people showed up who were not Christians to this Bible study, and they found out it wasn't just people from Calvary, where I happened to go,
Sure.
but there were people in the Bible study from Ada Bible, from Mayflower, from the Catholic Church. That felt much more welcoming to them as opposed to, okay, look, if I join this Bible study, does that mean I have to join Calvary Church?
That's good.
And I saw in the unity that we had in different churches, that was actually a better witness than if we had all been at one church, all doing one thing with one set of elders and one pastor. And so that you're exactly right, Randy. John 17 is a better evangelistic thing, that there are a multiplicity of churches working together.
I love it. I love it. And we're going to see that, Lord willing, with the Luis Palau Festival that's coming to town. And I'm equally excited about what God's going to do through that.